But here's the problem. Social constructivism is running rampant in the modern world. Basically, everybody says everything is a social construct, from race to gender to the concept of a nation to language. You name it, somebody has called it a social construct. What if somebody who's in a position of power holds on to the view of social constructivism? Well, then basically what they have is a moral green light to justify any and all of their behaviors, including exploiting you. I know that's pretty mind-bending. Welcome, everybody, to another installment of Dialogos Now. Please like, subscribe, comment, and also I'm on TikTok and now I'm on YouTube, and I'm trying to do longer format videos. So if you're interested in a pursuit of ultimate reality, in a pursuit of truth, then welcome, you're in the right place. So what we're going to get into today is social constructivism. I'm sure many of you have heard this term before, especially when we're talking about delicate subjects such as race and gender. But there seems to be an obvious flaw in this worldview. For those of you who don't know, social constructivism is the position that everything that we know and understand to be true about reality is in fact a product of social construction, meaning that everything is just a construct that society has collectively created in order to sort of understand reality. But see, this goes into an immediate problem, because the premise, everything is a social construct, includes the premise that everything is a social construct, meaning that the premise itself is socially constructed, meaning it's not really true. It's just what society has created and purports to be true. I know that's pretty mind-bending, but let's stay focused here. What this essentially means is that the entire worldview constructed off of this premise, we can't trust to be true, meaning that we don't have to take it as truth. But here's the problem. Social constructivism is running rampant in the modern world. Basically, everybody says everything is a social construct, from race to gender to the concept of a nation to language. You name it, somebody has called it a social construct. But here's the problem. If everything is a social construct, then that means no knowledge is possible, including knowledge that everything is a social construct, aka it's a contradiction. And if it's a contradiction, we can just dismiss it. And here's the problem. When you build reality or your understanding of ultimate reality on a contradiction, then you're not going to be able to see reality clearly, and it's going to lead you into some trouble. Does America seem like it's in some trouble right now? Short answer is yes. And this idea comes from a book by Luckman and Berg called The Social Construction of Reality, which was published in the 70s. And there's a great YouTube video on it. I'll try to put it in here. I probably won't. The author says, the moral absolutists and the moral relativists are seeking absolute certainty in the world. And so the social constructionists rest in the certainty that nothing can be certain. But see, here's the problem with this worldview. If nothing can be known, all it does is justify people behaving however they want to behave. It also justifies people to create reality however they want reality to be created. And as a Christian, we understand that we exist within the fall, meaning that we all possess concupiscence, meaning that sometimes evil things appear good to us. And so the lie of social constructivism doesn't seem to be an obvious issue, at least to the lay people, for general normal people. Basically, what they end up saying is, hey, things are a social construct. We can't know anything to be true. I'm just going to live my life however I want to, and you can't tell me otherwise. And as a society, yes, there's problems here, but they're not immediately apparent. But here's the problem. What if somebody who's in a position of power holds on to the view of social constructivism? Well, then basically what they have is a moral green light to justify any and all of their behaviors, including exploiting you, me, the lay people, depriving people of a just wage, giving you usurious loans, having you go off and fight and die for a war that has ambiguous moral justification. If you're an elite with the viewpoint of social constructivism, morality is just some type of agreed upon social construct. And as humans, if we know in the back of our mind that the rules that we're operating by don't really exist, then when push comes to shove, like, we're not going to listen to it. Does that sound like America? Furthermore, in formal logic, if you can derive a contradiction, you can implement something called the explosion rule, meaning that you can assume the opposite of the conclusion, and thus the whole system kind of falls apart. So social constructivism is really kind of like the camel that gets its nose under the tent, because once somebody invokes social constructivism, everything becomes a social construct, including whatever they're arguing about. And within the system, you can just assume the opposite position that they're holding, and you both cancel out. Again, I know it's a little mind bendy, but it's important important because people actually believe this stuff. And furthermore, it actually gets even way more insidious because another proponent of social constructivism goes by the name of Michel Foucault, who was the philosopher king of the 70s. Point is, when you agree that society creates morality and there is no absolute morality out there to bind ourselves by or to live and act and behave accordingly, then this also does something else. It tells you that if you want to change society, all you need is a critical mass of people to believe whatever you believe, and thus society will take on your new beliefs that you want. Because again, there is no absolute moral order. So if you want to change morality, you just have to get enough people to agree to your worldview. Does that sound like America? Short answer again is yes. So that's just a brief introduction into the flaws of social constructivism. And the main takeaway is if somebody invokes social constructivism, you can just assume the opposite, and then the whole thing just kind of falls apart. As always, if you agree, disagree, whatever you want to say, go to the comments and type it up because I want to start a dialogos with you today. Also, don't forget to smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next installment of the Dialogos podcast YouTube thingy. God bless.